Good afternoon. Welcome to the Assembly Committee on Health and Human Services on this wonderful Monday, March the 17th. Secretary, will you please call roll?
Assembly members Dahlia, here. Edgeworth, present. Gonzalez, here. Goulding, Gray, Hafen, Hibbets, Hunt, here. Jackson, Koenig, here. Nadeem, Wynn, here. Ornlicker, here. Chair Brown-May.
Here. Thank you. So as we begin, just a couple of housekeeping notices. Please remember to silence your electronic devices. If you wish to testify, sign in at the table. Electronic copies of anything that you're going to be handing out should be submitted to the committee manager. Members of the public may provide testimony on a bill either in person or by telephone. To do so by telephone, dial 888-475-4499 and then enter the meeting ID. Today is 883-2850-0782 and then press the pound sign. Public comment will be taken at the end of the meeting. Each person will be limited to 2 minutes. Please reminder, we expect courtesy and respect in all of our interactions. And for the committee secretary, anyone who is not present currently, please mark them present when they arrive or absent excused if they're due to travel. Thank you. Committee members will be utilizing their laptops throughout today's session. Please don't take that as a sign of disrespect. We do have 3 bills on our agenda today for bill hearing. I would like to welcome our first presenter for Assembly Bill 352, which revises provisions relating to business. Assemblymember Anderson, you're welcome to take the table. We'll officially open the bill hearing on Assembly Bill 352. You may begin when you are ready.
Good afternoon, Chair Brown-May, Vice Chair Nguyen, and members of the committee. I am Natha Anderson, and it is my honor to represent Assembly District 30. Thank you for allowing me to present Assembly Bill 352, especially on St. Patrick's Day. I think I'm just going to think that if you're wearing green, you're automatically in support of it, right? Let's go with it. Why not? But this does actually make some various changes to cottage food and cosmetic businesses. Just before diving into the bill, though, I'd like to give some very quick background information on the cottage food operations. From cottage foods to home cooks, Harvard Law School actually presented a policy brief in 2021 that dug into this and how this industry is making changes across our nation. Just a few small highlights from that very large report. Many individuals possess the skills and knowledge to make foods that may not be available in common grocery stores, but are nonetheless valued by their community. These laws not only support individuals in sharing their culinary traditions, but also provide them with an income stream. Young entrepreneurs seeking to open a small business, parents spending time at home with children, or elderly individuals desiring to stay at home can all gain from these laws to support themselves and their families, all while expanding local food options in their communities. I want to make a few things clear as well. Cottage food operations are not food establishments. They consist of individuals who produce homemade food items in their private residencies to be sold directly to consumers at events such as farmers markets, flea markets, craft fairs. From the documentation around the last time Nevada's cottage food and home kitchen laws, found in NRS 446, was discussed, it was in 2013 in Senate Bill 206. These cottage businesses follow the exact same business licensure requirements as every other business in Nevada. They must acquire and maintain business licenses from the state, from the municipality where their business is based, and every municipality where they attend events like farmers markets to sell these products. These operations must have make less than $35,000 in gross sales per calendar year. The food items these operations may prepare include candies, cereals, trail mixes, granola, dried fruit, dry herbs and seasoning mixes, jams, jellies, and preserves, nuts, nut mixes, popcorn and popcorn balls, which is the one that doesn't make any sense to me. But anyways, vinegar and flavored vinegars. And baked goods are permitted under very specific conditions. They cannot be considered potentially hazardous. They do not contain cream, uncooked eggs, custard, meringue, or cream cheese frosting. And finally, they do not require time or temperature controls for food safety. Another important distinction I would like to highlight is the difference between a cottage food operation and a craft food operation. While similar in many ways, craft food operations are allowable to prepare acidified foods. These include fruits or vegetables that have a pH level of 4.6 or less, such as canned or pickled goods. Currently, again, cottage food operations are licensed by their local licensing health authority, which would include health districts, Carson City Health and Human Services, and the Division of Public and Behavioral Health. Craft food operations are licensed by the Department of Agriculture. Before actually walking you through the sections of the bill, with Chair Brown-May's permission, may Lisa Stevens of Battleborn Bread speak about her experiences as a cottage food entrepreneur?
Thank you. Please go ahead.
And what a perfect way to celebrate your second-year anniversary. So, Lisa, you're on. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing me to speak to our chair and assembly. My name is Lisa Stevens. It's Leesa Stevens, Stevens, and I am the owner and operator of Battleborn Bread in Fallon, Nevada. I am a small cottage bakery that specializes in sourdough breads, and like she said, today is my second-year anniversary. I got started in this business because I was looking for a way to stay at home, take care of my aging mother-in-law, my granddaughters, and help my daughter to create, her work experience. I wasn't able to do that by working for other businesses, so I decided to go with something that I'd been doing for about 6 or 8 years, which was make sourdough bread. And I started doing that in June of 2023. And I started with our farmers markets, and I've been very blessed to have a growing business. However, I'm finding that I am starting to come up against the ceiling of the income requirements that are in Nevada. And I feel like it's starting to limit my ability to have my business, but it's still, I'm not big enough to start going into a commercial business. There's not a gap in Nevada, a step that helps you go from a cottage business to a commercial business. So I'm hoping that there'll be some support in raising that. I also am really excited to see that there might be some changes, and this will really help my business in being able to take orders via phone and be able to take them online. This brings that cottage industry into the 21st century, which is where most of our businesses are these days, because COVID changed everything. COVID changed the way people order. COVID changed the way people get their foods. And I'm just hoping that with your support that we'll be able to make some changes and bring this forward. So thank you.
Assemblymember Anderson for the record. So I'd like to just walk you through the bill. Sections 2 through 11 define the cottage cosmetic operations and outline the requirements for obtaining a license. These operations include individuals preparing cosmetics in their private residence and with annual gross sales of less than $100,000. The Department of Agriculture will be responsible for licensing these operations. A concern has just recently been brought up regarding the inclusion of this, and I'll be working with the individuals to try to address this. Sections 12 through 19 reorganizes the oversight of cottage food operations to be under the Department of Agriculture and incorporate acidified foods to the allowable list of food items. This incorporation eliminates the need for craft food operation licensure, which is repealed in the bill. Additionally, allowable maximum gross sales on cottage food operations increases from $35,000 to $100,000. This increase is similar to some other states' proposed changes. For example, Michigan's House Bill 4122, which was just introduced February 27th of this year, is basically increasing, doubling what their gross sales would be. Further, Section 16 clarifies locations of sales may be included by phone and or by internet. By including the internet sales, we believe this could increase the visibility for many of these small businesses. 44 other states currently allow this. It is time for Nevada to do so as well. Section 22 clarifies the department as the Department of Agriculture. Concerns were raised Thursday by a county and city health department regarding this, so I understand when they come to the table to be against it because of this. This current practice of inspections being done by the city and county seems to have some different opinions regarding accessibility, and so timing as well. So that is one reason why we are proposing this. Section 20, 21, and 23 are simply clarifications and or removal of language, which corresponds to other sections of the bill. Sections 24 and 25 makes various changes to the farm to fork events, including allowing livestock and game animals to be served at events. These sections also allow farms to hold up to 4 events per month before having to be classified as a food establishment. The director may provide an exemption to these requirements during harvest or holiday seasons. Additionally, these sections again require hosting farms to register with the Department of Agriculture. Thank you, Chair and committee members, for your consideration of this bill. Nevada's current law is holding entrepreneurs back. This is our opportunity to help others in realizing their full potential. And I know the law created in 2013 was an incredibly heavy lift. It is time for us to update it to encourage the economic growth of Nevada's small and home-based businesses. We are ready for questions. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you for your presentation. We do have a couple of questions from members. We'll start with Assemblymember Gonzalez.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for your presentation. And so I was just wondering, because you said that it caps the sales at $100,000. Are there anybody that makes more than that? What happens if a retailer, or use the word cottage food person, makes more than that? And then along with that, what is the average sales folks are currently making? Thank you.
Assemblymember Anderson, for the record, I do not know the average. I'll just say that right now. I can try to find out for you and get back to you. That should be no problem. But as it stands now, if you make over the $30,000, then your kitchen and the where you manufacture has to be changed, and the way that your license has to be changed. The inspections has to be changed, and so that's basically what was just brought up about how that is working out. But the other questions I do not know off the top of my head, but I can try to get that for you and get to the whole committee.
Thank you so much. So then how did you come up with the threshold of $100,000?
Assemblymember Anderson, for the record. The main reason why was through looking through the other states. Some states have it as low as $50,000, some as low as $20,000, but $100,000 felt like it was, number one, it was like an easy mark to use. To an extent, it was also like pulling it out of a hat. But realistically, it was looking through other states and seeing where they were as well.
Thank you. We do have several questions. Before I move on to our next member, I'm curious to know, how much do you sell a loaf of bread for?
Thank you for your question. My name is Lisa Stevens, and it depends on the flavor of the bread, but typically it's an average of around $10 a loaf.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Our next question is from Assemblymember Orrin Licker.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for bringing the bill. In your presentation, you focused on the food, and you did make a quick statement about the cosmetics that you're working on. Could you explain, are you taking it out? Are you going to substantially revise it, or what do you have in mind?
Assemblymember Anderson, for the record, thank you for bringing that up, because I was just running through the bill like we're just going to add it in, but we didn't actually go into what that would be including. So I've asked Kelly to come up also to explain a little bit further, but at this time the only way to have those cosmetics is by the big businesses, and so the idea is maybe to add some candles, add some of those other home-based makeup type of items that people can be able to utilize. But I know that Kelly has also been involved in that. If you're okay with my phone a friend, if you want to add to it.
Thank you. Kelly, for the record, that's Kelly, Kelly. I'm so happy to be a friend that got phoned in this space. So The cottage cosmetics was never really an avenue that was allowable within any state in our country because the federal government regulated cosmetics, which includes everything that you put on your skin except for soap, to include wigs, just incidentally. But the federal government regulated cosmetics, and it prohibited cottage operations. With the passage of the Modernization of Cosmetics Regulatory Act in 2022, the federal government created a small business exemption, exempting cosmetic producers who make less than $1 million in annual sales from the requirement to be in a commercial inspected facility. That opened up the door for allowing small batch cosmetic producers. These are folks, oftentimes they're agricultural producers or value-added producers who are adjacent to those farm businesses, who are utilizing things like lavender, who are using botanicals to make salves, to make balms, to make lotion. So currently, from the state's perspective, if you were to take a shelf-ready mass-produced lotion base that was unscented, and you were to take a gallon of that and subdivide it into smaller containers and add an essential oil, that constitutes manufacture from the perspective of the state, and that would only be allowable if you were in an inspected facility.
Thank you. And next question from Assemblymember Vice Chair Nguyen.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the question. I am learning so much about this topic. It is so interesting, but I have a very basic question. Because, home-based business is also part of our culture, right? The Asian culture has a lot of different home-based food businesses. And I tried to search this, couldn't come up with it. And I think I had the same question from Ms. Kelly. Why name it cottage? Like, I'm thinking cottage cheese, I'm thinking cottage yogurt, I'm thinking, like, my mind just went off on a tangent. But, like, when I'm thinking cottage food, I just don't think home-based business. So it may be, sorry, you just gotta stick with this one, but I'm just trying to figure out, like, why still name it cottage when nothing about it is cottage?
Assemblymember Anderson, for the record, I have no idea either. When I started to try to prepare for this bill, and when information was brought to me from a constituent about it, I also was like, why is it called cottage? And again, I could not find anything to really back it up why. But it is a statement that is used almost across our nation. Through all of the laws, that's what they do refer to them as, a cottage food. And in the food industry, they are called cottage food industries. So I'm sorry. I can try to come up with something. Once upon a time, leprechaun decided, but I really don't know. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. A quick follow-up, Chair. Yeah, I think it was one of those things where we're always going to wonder, like, what was that about, right? But I think piggyback into maybe a couple of my colleagues' other questions in terms of the limit. I know that Ms. Kelly mentioned that the threshold on the federal side of $1 million, then you only raise it up to 100,000. Is there a reason why we're doing this to not match the federal government and or other states that may have different thresholds? So I don't know if we want to standardize the entire across the board, or we're just doing one step at a time here in Nevada.
Kelly for the record. I think in our early conversations around this bill, the idea was to make the different cottage industries align with one another at that $100,000 mark. The $100,000, as Assemblymember Anderson stated, falls in the middle of ranges of what other states do. That being said, I previously have worked in the culinary industry, and I can tell you that just from my own perspective, if I was making $100,000 worth of sourdough bread in my home kitchen, I would be pulling my hair out and so ready to move into a commercial facility. Just having the larger ovens, having more larger sheet pans, having a speed rack, the ease of operation when you're at that threshold seems like a really critical time to step into that commercial operation. So when it comes to the cosmetics, it was the intent to align these programs with one another. And that 100,000 threshold was really based more on the perspective of, a home baker like Lisa, and where the infrastructure that you have in a home kitchen really becomes the limiting factor now to growing the operation.
Great. Thank you. Oh.
And just Nathan Anderson for the record, and just to add to it, I just was starting to glance through. There are some states that do not have a limit at all. They just allow you just to go all the way up. And there are some that have it as low as 20,000. And so really it's all over the place.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions. And just for clarification purposes, you talked about soap not being, right? Soap is the exclusion. So I'm curious to know, like salt or sugar scrubs, would that be considered soap, or is that part of what a cottage food industry would be covered under this bill?
Kelly, for the record, I think that that's one of those magical gray areas, right? Like I've worked with clients who make soap and want to make a shampoo bar. And so then the question becomes, is a shampoo bar a shampoo and therefore a cosmetic, or is a shampoo bar a soap bar for your hair? So there is a lot of intricacy and nuance to this. With a cottage cosmetics program in the state, that would open up the door for the production of a whole variety of products. So the scrubs, shampoo bars, lotion bars, salves, balms, etc.
Thank you for that. Thanks for getting that on the record. Do we have any idea what the number of licensees are currently for cottage food operations in Nevada?
Assemblymember Anderson, for the record, no, we do not, but that ask has been sent in. And so as soon as I get that back, I will make sure that you have it and that the whole committee has that as well.
Thank you. That'll be helpful. And then we're adding fermented or acidified foods. Acidified foods, I'm assuming, is fermented foods, it's like kombucha or no. Just if you would clarify, what are you referring to in an acidified food that's in this bill proposal?
Yeah, so currently craft foods are acidified foods that have a pH of 4.6 or below. The intent is to align the two programs and then to allow the department to create the administrative code to implement the craft food portion of this bill.
Good, thank you. And then I just want to clarify, we're talking about $100,000 in gross sales. This is not net revenue. So there are expenses that are coming out of this $100,000 that we're not accounting for here.
Assemblymember Anderson, that is correct.
And I do want to say that I think cottage comes from Hansel and Gretel, like a cottage in a country, a cottage. I believe we have a question from Assemblymember Koenig.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to follow up on Chair Brown May's question. So give me some examples of acidic foods here. We said you're talking science 4.6. I don't have a pH tester. I don't know what that would include.
Kelly, for the record. So some examples of acidified foods they run the gamut from hot sauces to pickles to sauerkraut. Salsa is often an acidified food.
That's more my language. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Members, anybody else have questions? No? Okay, thank you for your presentation today. At this time, we'll ask you to step back from the table. We will now open up testimony in support of Assembly Bill 352. Anyone who is here in support of Assembly Bill 352, please come forward at this time in Carson City or in Las Vegas. You may fill in the chairs. Please state and spell your name for the record when you're ready, and then you may begin.
Chair, members of the committee, for the record, I'm Doug Busselman. I'm the Executive Vice President of Nevada Farm Bureau. Busselman is Busselman. We are here today to express our strong support for passage of AB 352 and the provisions that will provide for the Nevada Department of Agriculture to taking responsibility for the areas of cottage food and farm-to-food events. Our member policy supports the cottage food program to be operated by the Nevada Department of Agriculture and include the department's producer certification program into this comprehensive authority. We also support urban-based agricultural operations as a response to some of the issues related to food deserts and expanded opportunities for these smaller food-producing entities to have greater opportunity for economic stability. Our members have expressed their frustration over the authority that now involves different health districts around the state and the manner in which these regulatory agencies have treated those seeking to engage in cottage food enterprises. In some areas, there is inconsistent and random applications of the rules that they have established. These challenges have played a role in limiting the ability for cottage food and farm-to-fork activities. We are very appreciative of the customer treatment approach that the Nevada Department of Agriculture has practiced and welcome the pro-enterprise partnerships that we have with them. This is in stark contrast to the way in which some health districts have approved or approached those who are dealing with them. AB 352 is a positive move in the right direction, and we support this bill and hope that you would as well. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Shane Piccinini, S-H-A-N-E, P-I-C-C-I-N-I-N-I, and I am with the Food Bank of Northern Nevada. We at the Food Bank have long supported farm-to-table opportunities, and Doug just talked about what I was going to talk about as far as food deserts are concerned, but we believe that any avenue that we can take to help people get access to really great food is in the best interest of the entire state. So we thank the sponsor of the bill, and we ask you to support it. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Brian Wachter, W-A-C-H-T-E-R. I'm the Senior Vice President of the Retail Association of Nevada. We are strongly in favor of this bill. I think the Chairwoman's point that it's $100,000 in receipts. We're not talking about profit. In fact, the average cottage operation usually clears between $5,000 to $10,000 a year in perhaps what you'd consider actual profit. And so we do think that it's important. The vast majority of small businesses, 20% will close in their first year, 50% will close in their first 5 years, and by 10 years after they start, about 70% of all small businesses have closed. And so they think this is an important step for Nevada to take to allow those industries to grow and remain viable. We also think it's important to have that one-stop shop within the department to be able to set out what those rules are going to be statewide. And so we very much look forward to you processing this piece of legislation.
Good afternoon, Chair Brown-May and members of the committee. My name is Kelly Kelly, K-E-L-L-I, K-E-L-L-Y, and I'm here to offer my support for AB 352. I'm an advisor who works with farmers and other food systems business owners to start and grow their businesses. In this role, I have many clients around the state who are interested in beginning cottage food businesses, making small batch cosmetic products like salves, lotion bars, shampoo bars, and chapstick, and hosting agritourism events like farm-to-fork dinners, and who have encountered obstacles that have prevented them from achieving their goals. Each of these programs represents a way for farmers to diversify their products and their sales channels so they can monetize more of their harvest. Reducing regulation of cottage programs, including what types of products can be produced, how products can be sold and delivered to customers, and increasing the gross sales cap will enable farmers to diversify and grow their revenue streams. Allowing small batch home production of salves and balms, lotion, and other cosmetic products helps these farmers and adjacent value-added producers utilize locally grown botanicals in an entirely different way for an entirely different market. Farm-to-fork events help farmers reach new customer segments, highlight locally grown products, and help customers connect to farms in their communities, the food that is produced in their neighborhoods, and the people involved from seed to plate. I encourage you to support AB 352.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here in Carson City in support of Assembly Bill 352? Seeing no movement and no one in Las Vegas at the table. AVH, is there anyone on the telephone line in support of Assembly Bill 352?
If you would like to testify in support of Assembly Bill 352, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Follow with the last 3 digits, 051. You are unmuted and may begin.
Barry Johnston, Las Vegas. We stand here today to discuss yet another layer of regulation aimed at cottage cosmetics and food operations, small businesses simply trying to make an honest living. This bill may sound well-intentioned, but let's be clear, it represents another step in a
Mr.
relentless
Johnson,
march
are you in
towards
support of this
overregulation.
assembly bill?
Yeah, why are you interrupting me?
Well, Mr. Johnson, I chair this committee, and it sounds like you're in opposition of this assembly bill as you talked about on additional regulations. I want to make sure that we have your position appropriately recorded for our committee secretary.
This is another one of these. Right. Well, one of these bills are bad, but we have to do something to help these people because you guys are crushing business.
So I want to be clear, your testimony is
Can I continue?
Are you in support of Assembly Bill 352?
Yes.
Then you may continue.
Yes. Well, can I have my time back?
You are welcome to begin with your 2 minutes, Mr. Johnson. I will caution you to be in support of this bill. If your testimony is in opposition, we will move you there.
We already know. I'm not saying that. I already gave you that answer. Why are you pushing me?
I'm happy to record your testimony in support. AVH, can we move to the next caller, please?
Caller with the last three digits,
Hello.
940. You may begin.
Hello, my name is Callie Wade. I am from Southern Nevada, and I strongly support this bill. I am a farmer market coordinator for 2 farmers markets in Southern Nevada. My daughter has been in cottage food and is tirelessly working with Southern Nevada Health District to get into a commercial kitchen. I see this bill as being a huge step forward for all small cottage food and cottage cosmetic businesses. The reason I see that is because to be able to go into a cottage food business in Southern Nevada, you apply through SNHD. There is one person in all of Southern Nevada that handles label design. It has to fit under a certain stipulation, all of which I agree with. But the regulations have just changed just recently, and they have allowed now for you to skip over label review if you don't want to pay the extra money. So as a farmer's market coordinator, I have multiple people coming to me saying, oh, well, I've been okayed through SNHC. And then I need to explain to them, like, well, your labels aren't correct. So that causes a lot of issues. I've also been a producer through the Nevada Department of Ag. To be able to contact anyone in the Nevada Department of Agriculture is so easy, simple, smooth. Anything that I have contacted through SNHD or any of my colleagues have has always been kind of difficult. You send an email and you hope for a response. There's no direct contact with any of those individuals. And that does cause a lot of heartache. And it has put my daughter off almost 4 months just to get into a commercial kitchen. To be
Thank you for your comments. If you don't mind, you're over your 2 minutes at this point. You're welcome to submit the rest of your comments in writing, and I thank you very much for calling in support today. AVH, are there any additional callers in support of this measure?
Yes, Chair, one moment. Caller with the last 3 digits, 492. You are unmuted and may begin.
Hi, thank you, Chair Brown, May, and the members of the committee. My name is Ellen Hamlet, ELLEN-HAMLETT. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today in support of AB 352. Selling homemade food, also known as cottage foods, which, by the way, cottage refers to anything made from the home, so any cottage business just means something that gets in the home. Is a proven path to entrepreneurship, allowing people to turn their passion into a business without the enormous cost of a commercial kitchen. So right now, Nevada caps its annual revenue at just $35,000. So that is revenue, not profit. So it's making it nearly impossible for entrepreneurs to grow. This is the fourth lowest cap in the country. Only 20 states have revenue caps at all, and some, such as Florida and Wyoming, are as high as 450,000. 44 other states allow homemade delivery, 44 other states allow homemade food sales online, and 37 states permit delivery. So these unnecessary restrictions are holding back hardworking entrepreneurs who are simply trying to build a better future for themselves and their families. So one thing to focus on is cottage food businesses are incredibly safe. Multiple states show that there are no increased risk of foodborne illness from home kitchens as compared to commercial ones. No states have seen any reports of foodborne illnesses that have come from a homemade food kitchen. Cottage food business, I should say. So cottage food businesses are overwhelmingly benefit women, parents, rural residents, and people with limited mobility or transportation, those who need flexible and home-based work the most. So over the last 6 months, I have spoken with dozens of cottage food producers whose lives would be tremendously improved by this change. A sign-on petition to support this bill so far has at least 80 signatures from hardworking Nevadans to ask you to support this bill. So with AB 325, Nevada will join the majority of states that have updated their laws and support the hardworking individuals who make and sell homemade goods. So I urge you to support AB 352. Thank you so much for.
Thank you. AVH, is there another caller in support of this measure?
Yes, Chair. Caller with the last three digits, 051. You are unmuted and may begin.
I don't know what happened. I was cut off last time. Barry Johnston. We stand here today to discuss another layer of regulation aimed at cottage cosmetics and food operations. Small business simply trying to make an honest living. This bill may sound well-intentioned, but let's be clear, it represents another step in a relentless march towards overregulation, stifling entrepreneurship, and limiting personal freedom, like I was just limited on my First Amendment. Why must a natural individual preparing home cosmetics or selling under 100,000 gross annually be subjected to more government hoops? This body has destroyed local farming and ranching. This bill, while pretending to protect customers, mainly imposes licensing fees, burdensome inspections, and other unnecessary bureaucratic registries. Regulation meant to protect health could not choke out the innovation, creativity, and the entrepreneurial spirit of everyday Nevadans. Let's get real. Most cottage operations thrive precisely because they're agile, small, and responsive. They don't need another fee, inspection, oversight, or parasitic politician wanting to tax and spend their hard-earned dollars. Local zoning boards shouldn't even have the power to restrict these modest operations, and while this bill rightly addresses that, it simultaneously opens the door for state-level meddling. We must ask ourselves, do we trust Nevadans to make responsible choices, or do we believe that only you bureaucrats can protect us? I agree passionately for trusting individuals over regulation every time. We need to allow these people to work, but you also need to stop allowing overregulation. This is not a nanny state. We are not California or Washington or New York. You are personally responsible for destroying Nevada's business. Please stop. Thank you.
Caller with the last three digits, 492. You are now unmuted and may begin.
Hi there. I just gave my testimony. I want Hamlet, so thank you for your time.
Thank you. AVH.
Chair,
Thank you. Go ahead, AVH.
There are no other callers at this time to testify in support.
Thank you. At this time, we'll move into opposition testimony. Is there anyone here in Carson City in opposition to Assembly Bill 352? Please come forward and fill in the chairs. Also in Las Vegas. We'll start here in Carson City. Please state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes. You begin when you're ready.
Good morning. Good afternoon. Sorry about that. Chair Brown May, Jesse Wadhams with the law firm of Black & Wadhams representing the Vegas Chamber. Want to thank the sponsor of the bill, for meeting with us multiple times, and we are working on amendments. Our concerns really focus on the expansion of cottage industry into the cosmetic space and some of the limitations on local government in their ability to regulate. But that said, the Vegas Chamber would absolutely want to recommit or make its commitment clear to the Assembly member that want to work on this, because we do see it as a very strong small business bill. So thank you.
Thank you, Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Mike Cathcart, representing the City of Henderson. That's C-A-T-H-C-A-R-T. I would first like to thank the sponsor and stakeholders for listening to our concerns. However, we are opposed to the bill as written. We are only seeking clarification and possible language changes to Section 7, Subsection 5, and Section 16, Subsection 2. These are the sections pertaining to local government regulatory authority. We will continue to work with the stakeholders and hopefully come to a solution that works for everyone. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Brown May and committee members. My name is Amber English, Environmental Health Supervisor with Northern Nevada Public Health. I appreciate and recognize the bill's sponsor's intent to support small entrepreneurs and encourage local businesses through this bill. However, I'm here today to respectfully express our opposition to this bill due to the significant public health concerns. We are concerned about the real potential of insufficient staffing at the state level, which unfairly burdens local health authorities. We want to thank Assemblymember Anderson for working with NNPH representatives late last week to discuss our concerns on this bill. Expanding the production and sales of acidified foods increases health risks, including botulism. Proper safety requires strict controls, training, and monitoring, but the bill removes these safeguards, relying solely on equilibrium pH minimum without prescriptive language on how this will be verified. Home kitchens are not equipped to ensure these safeguards. Furthermore, transferring cottage food registrations from NNPH to state-level agencies will lead to enforcement inefficiencies. We would no longer be responsible for processing registrations, but we will still be responsible for enforcement activities. Our inspectors are routinely present at markets and community events, ensuring vendors maintain proper food safety standards. This allows for real-time compliance checks and immediate corrective actions if issues arise. However, a state-level agency lacks the personnel and logistical capacity to maintain the same level of oversight. This shift could enable unregistered vendors to operate unchecked, increasing food safety risks to the public. The burden would then fall back onto local health authorities who, despite losing control over registration, would still be responsible for identifying and addressing food safety violations at community events, ultimately increasing local workloads. Additionally, the shift could delay response in foodborne illness outbreak investigations as state agencies lack the immediate local access, and although local authorities have the immediate access, we would have a reduced compliance oversight. Finally, expanding sales caps and allowing mail and online ordering for cottage food sales increases the volume of potentially unsafe food distribution. This contradicts the original intent of cottage food laws, places the public at greater risk, and creates an unfair competitive environment for businesses that responsibly meet regulatory requirements.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Would you leave your written comments with our committee secretary? Thank you. Go ahead.
Hello, good afternoon. Chair and Assembly, my name is Maria Menjivar, spelled M-E-N-J-I-V-A-R. I'm the Deputy Administrator for the Central Nevada Health District, and I come to you on behalf of the Central Nevada Health District to respectfully submit our opposition to Assembly Bill 352, which proposes significant changes to the regulation of cottage food and cosmetics operations within our state. While we understand the intent to streamline and modernize the regulations, we see and have serious concerns that the bill, as currently drafted, may have unintended consequences that could adversely affect public health, consumer safety, and the livelihoods of small business owners. We believe that local control, rather than state-level mandates, are more important and a more appropriate approach to regulating these growing lucrative industries. Decentralized state control versus a local control. One of the most concerning aspects of AB 352 is the move towards centralized state regulation of cottage food. Local governments have a better control and understanding of their communities and the unique needs of small businesses. By placing regulations at the state level, we risk creating a one-size-fits-all approach that may not be adaptable to the specific circumstances and conditions of each county or municipality. Local control would allow for more nuanced regulations tailored to the needs of local businesses and consumers, fostering innovation and economic growth while ensuring adequate consumer protection. Local authorities are better positioned to monitor and regulate small businesses within their jurisdictions, ensuring that the safety standards are met without unnecessary burdening small producers with a rigid state-imposed framework. Ambiguities in the application process, fee structures, and operational guidelines could lead to confusion among small business owners and regulatory authorities, hindering the effective implementation of law. Local control would allow for greater flexibility in adjusting regulations based on specific community needs and businesses' capabilities, reducing the risk of confusion and noncompliance. Conclusively, while we support efforts to modernize the regulation for cottage food and cosmetic operations, we believe that AB 352 in its current form undermines the ability of local governments to craft regulations that are better suited to their communities. We urge the legislature to reconsider this bill and adapt a more localized approach.
Thank you for your comments. You really are over your 2 minutes at this point. I tried to be very generous. If you would leave your written comments with the committee secretary, that will help us. Thank you so much. Is there anyone else here in opposition of Assembly Bill 352? Seeing someone in Las Vegas, you may begin when you're ready.
Good afternoon. My name is Larry Rogers, Larryrogers, and I'm the Environmental Health Manager at the Southern Nevada Health District, testifying in opposition today on AB 352. The Southern Nevada Health District appreciates the intent behind this legislation to foster local entrepreneurship, but has serious concerns regarding its impact on public health and safety. In the last 4 years, SNHD has registered 813 applicants from cottage food operators and fielded over 1,600 inquiries from potential operators, often with multiple interactions. While the Nevada Department of Agriculture may be able to manage cottage food operations in rural areas, the volume of registrants in Southern Nevada is currently 1,250 and will only increase with the proposed income limit. Cottage food operators are permitted at certain SNHD regulated events, and SNHD has existing relationships with these operators. If these events have split jurisdictions, the cottage food operators fail to meet requirements or exceed their limitations, SNHD would have no recourse other than to remove these non-compliant operators from the event. Currently, we have the framework to work through most cottage food situations found at events, and the operator can resume vending. Split jurisdictions at certain events would increase the burden of SNHD inspectors who oversee about 850 health-permitted special events with over 9,000 vendors each year. Cottage food operators who expand their operations without proper permitting would continue to be removed from events under this bill, as it does not change the qualifications and restrictions on cottage food. SNHD would continue to enforce the cottage food statute, but would have fewer resources to do so. SNHD also oversees cosmetics in Clark County. Cosmetic manufacturers undergo regular inspections and comply with regulations that ensure manufacturers maintain proper safety standards. This legislation does not include these important safety measures, leaving potential gaps in public protection. Given these concerns, I strongly encourage the committee to oppose this bill and prioritize public health and maintain proper oversight. However, we remain willing to continue working with the bill sponsor to address the concerns and explore potential solutions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in Las Vegas in opposition to Assembly Bill 352? I can't see the table. None. Thank you so much for shaking your head. Thank you. AVH, is there anyone on the telephone line in opposition for Assembly Bill 352?
If you would like to testify in opposition to Assembly Bill 352, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Again, if you would like to testify in opposition to Assembly Bill 352, please press star 9 now. Chair, there are no callers wishing to testify in opposition at this time.
Thank you, AVH. At this time, we'll move into neutral testimony. Is there anyone here who would like to offer testimony in neutral on Assembly Bill 352? Thank you, Administrator. It's great to see you. I think I can probably give you a little bit longer than 2 minutes if you have something to add. Please feel free to begin.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Director Goycochea, Nevada Department of Agriculture, GOICOECHEA. We are in neutral on this bill, but I do just want to point out a couple of things that we have heard today. We do have a footprint in all rural and urban areas in the state of Nevada. In fact, we have a southern headquarters in Las Vegas. We inspect all dairies, dairy processing facilities, in addition to all the produce that is exported out of this state. We most recently have started our meat and poultry inspection program. We have environmental scientists on board all across the state who will be doing that. So we are comfortable that we can meet these needs should you elect to go that way. As always, if you have any questions, please reach out. We're more than happy to answer those in writing if you prefer. Thank you.
Thank you, Administrator. It's great to see you here. And I must say what a great day it's been to see so many of my friends from Natural Resources in Health and Human Services. Thank you. Go ahead, you may begin.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Sarah Adler, here as Sarah Adler, who was one of the authors of the 2013 bill. And another author of that bill was Christy McGill, who, if you serve on education, she is now a deputy superintendent at the Nevada Department of Education. So time goes on. Back in that day, I was the state director of USDA Rural Development. So I just want to share a couple things. I haven't looked at the bill in detail. I myself was able to bring the 2013 bill forward and through by working with the health districts. I haven't looked in detail at this bill. So I just want to inform you. In the intervening 11 years, I have been thrilled at the number of times that I have come across licensed cottage entrepreneurs in farmers markets, craft fairs, which I'm absolutely allergic to, but every time I'm forced to one, I find cottage entrepreneurs there. Airports, I am thrilled with the success of this. I also want to share that we created this bill during the rollout of the Great Recession. And at that time, I worked very much in rural Nevada, as did Christy, and it was a very uncertain economy, and we were trying to help people sustain themselves and their families using any asset that they had, which include possibly land to grow or a kitchen to produce food in. And now we are at a time of uncertain economy, yet greater concentration in things like grocery stores and other industries. So I think to the extent that we can support a distributed economy of entrepreneurs, it's a good thing. Just want to say that cottage is a more pleasant term than garage. And also that farm kitchen is not really appropriate because so many of the folks that I have come across are apartment bakers, kitchen bakers, people who are making wedding cakes, and unfortunately nowhere near a farm in downtown Las Vegas. So thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here in neutral on this measure? Seeing no movement, no one in Las Vegas coming to the table in neutral. AVH, is there anyone on the telephone line in neutral on Assembly Bill 352?
If you would like to testify in neutral for Assembly Bill 352, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Again, if you would like to testify in neutral, please press star 9 now. Chair, there are no callers wishing to testify in neutral at this time.
Thank you, AVH. At this time, we'll invite our bill sponsor up for closing comments.
Assemblymember Anderson, for the record. Thank you for this opportunity to present the bill. I look forward to continuing discussions to hopefully be able to bring back a nice, clean bill for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. At this time, we'll close the hearing on Assembly Bill 352. Thank you. Next on our agenda is Assembly Bill 337, which creates programs related to dementia. We'll welcome our very own Vice Chair Nguyen and his team to present this measure. You may begin whenever you are ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
It's great to be here. My name is Yui Wing, and I have the honor of representing Assembly District 8 in Southwest Las Vegas. And as the chair stated, I have the pleasure of presenting Assembly Bill 337, a bill on behalf of the Legislative Commission on Senior Citizens, Veterans, and Adult with Special Needs. I also have the pleasure of sitting on the task force on Alzheimer's disease that helps to provide recommendation and action we can take to assist those affected by Alzheimer and other forms of dementia. Dementia is a debilitating disease that affects a person's memory, cognitive abilities, and daily functioning. It is estimated that there are currently about 6.9 million people living with dementia in the United States, and this number is projected to reach 14 million by 2060. According to the data released by the Alzheimer's Association, it was estimated that there were approximately 55,000 people in Nevada living with Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia in 2020, though many do not have a formal diagnosis. Nevada ranked as a state with the third fastest growing population of residents living with dementia, directly linked to the rapidly aging population of Nevada, sitting after Arizona and Vermont. These statistics highlight the urgent need for us to take action to address this growing health crisis. We have a moral and ethical obligation to support and care for the older people with dementia, who are often some of the most vulnerable members of our society. This support can take many forms, from providing adequate health care and social services to ensuring people with dementia are treated with dignity and respect. One important way we can improve dementia care in Nevada is by establishing a dementia care specialist program. This program would provide specialized training for healthcare professionals who work with people with dementia and their families, ensuring they have the knowledge and skills to provide the best possible care. This program would also help to raise awareness of dementia and reduce stigma, which is often a barrier to people seeking help and support. Currently, only a handful of dementia care specialist programs exist in the U.S., and none are in Nevada. This is a significant gap in our healthcare system that needs to be addressed. By investing in a dementia care specialist program in Nevada, we can improve the quality of life for people with dementia and their families, reduce the burden on caregivers, and ultimately improve the lives of Nevadans suffering from this disease. Another way we can combat this growing need is through the establishment of the Nevada Memory Network as a system for the early detection and diagnosis of dementia and the ongoing management of care for patients with dementia. With that, Chair, I will pass it over to my co-presenter, Benjamin Chalinor, the Nevada Director of Public Policy of the Alzheimer's Association, who will briefly walk you through the section of this bill.
Thank you, Chair and members, and Assemblymember Nguyen. Thank you for allowing me to be here. I have a presentation up. One thing I do want to mention as well is I am also the chair of the task force, the TFAD, as well as one of the subcommittees on the legislative subcommittee. Also submitted along with the presentation is the state plan on Alzheimer's, which includes both of these dementia care specialists and the Nevada Memory Net as one of or each of them as a recommendation. And so looking forward to being able to share with you now. So hopefully it's up. Just going over some quick facts and figures, AB 337. I'll hand it back over to the Assembly member, and then we'll go for questions. The Assembly member touched a bit on what dementia is. Ultimately, dementia is an umbrella term for loss of memory, language problem, and other cognitive impairments that affect your daily life. So sometimes you forget where you put your keys. That might not necessarily be dementia, but when it starts affecting your everyday life, that's when it actually becomes dementia. And there are different types of dementia. The one that people are most familiar with is Alzheimer's, but there, as you can see, there's various other ones, including dementia from Parkinson's. And important to note is dementia is not part of aging. Although it is the largest risk factor for dementia, it's not the only one. As the Assembly member mentioned, 6.9 million in Nevada, or across the country, and then in Nevada, nearly 55,000. And of those living over 65, that's 10.6% prevalence. One that the Assembly member did not mention, but is a big part of this bill, is caregivers. There are over 84,000 caregivers in Nevada, providing $142 million of unpaid care, which comes up to total about $2.3 billion. And we'll be able to talk a bit why that's important. Now on to AB 337. First, I'll talk about the Nevada Memory Net, which is Section 2, and then go on to Section 1, which is the Dementia Care Specialist. But ultimately, what it looks to accomplish, just like the Assembly member mentioned, is improvement of early and accurate diagnosis of Alzheimer's and dementia, create better person-centered support system for Nevadans living with Alzheimer's and dementia and their caregivers, and build more awareness of dementia. The Nevada Memory Net is based off a program in Georgia that was originally started back in 2018, a partnership between Emory University and the Georgia Department of Human Services. It started off with 5 clinics, currently has 5, and it's added on additional partners throughout, community organizations and healthcare organizations. In Nevada, what we're looking to do is model it based off of that. The 5 main goals that we have ultimately is increase awareness of memory loss and dementia through the annual witness visits that is provided through Medicare. If you're a Medicare recipient, you get a free annual witness visit, and you could request a memory assessment through that. It includes establishing memory assessment clinics or hubs throughout both in the north and the south, making sure we're improving patient health outcomes through early and accurate diagnosis, especially now that we are in the era of treatment. We actually have 2 treatments available for Alzheimer's. You are not able to get that treatment, though, if you are not diagnosed with a specific type of dementia, which is early Alzheimer's. And so making sure that we're able to break down those barriers of diagnosis is important. Overall, reducing the overall cost associated with care, because again, the sooner you're able to get diagnosis, the sooner you're able to get care, and ultimately over the lifetime of care, it reduces the cost. And lastly, support the oversight and evaluation of the project performance by collecting data. Last session, we passed a neurodegenerative registry, and so this will help go hand in hand with that. That registry does not have any identifiable information, but it helps identify where we are within the state. Ultimately, it creates a system of care with the primary care providers, the memory clinics or the hubs, and then the new dementia care navigators. And it's basically you go in, they get the initial assessment. Most common one is the MOCA, the Montreal Cognitive Assessment. Through that, they're able to get a referral over for a neurologist, a psychoneurologist, or anyone who's able to provide that diagnosis, send that back to the primary care provider who's able to coordinate that care, and ultimately that dementia care navigators who's able to make sure that we're able to support that person, that caregiver, and whoever is part of that care partnership to make sure they are connected with resources, that they know what appointments are coming up, they know what if there's treatment available, which treatments they need to go to. Again, primary care providers are the first and one of the most important parts. They're the ones that are providing that assessment, initial assessment and referral over. The memory assessment clinics are the hubs. In the bill, we have the schools of medicine of both the University of Nevada, Reno, as well as University of Nevada, Las Vegas. We've worked with them in the past 3 years actually, to work on this. We've also been able to get some good commitments from the Lou Center, one of the most renowned centers on Alzheimer's and cognitive and brain health. And then the warm handoff back to the primary care providers, like I mentioned, making sure that there's no one's being dropped off, no one's falling through the cracks. And I think one of the biggest pieces is the dementia care navigation piece. There's been stated about 70% of all caregivers have mentioned coordinating care is stressful, and more than half of them said navigating the healthcare is difficult. And so being able to provide this dementia care navigation piece and tool is going to be extremely important. Next up, we have the dementia care specialist piece, which is Section 1 of the bill. It's modeled off of the dementia care specialist program out of Wisconsin that began back in 2013. housed within the various aging and disability resource centers that are throughout the state. It started with just 5 dementia care specialists, but expanded out to a total of 70. And there are in every single one of the Wisconsin's 42 ADRCs, and that serve all of their 71 counties. I know that's a lot compared to our 17 counties here. And additionally, there's ADRCs located within each of the 11 federally recognized tribes in Wisconsin. And so ultimately, the dementia care specialist, we've been able to start some program just to test it out here in Nevada with dementia, our DEAR program in Dementia Friendly Nevada, as well as ADSD, who are also here to be able to provide any context if needed. But ultimately, the goals of that is to be able to provide support to those living with dementia and their care partners, and making sure that we are strengthening awareness efforts across for dementia. Sooner folks are able to identify the early warning signs, the sooner we're able to get them in for an assessment, sooner we're able to get them diagnosed, and just keeps going on there. And ultimately, growing with our dementia-friendly efforts here in Nevada. What they'll do essentially is be able to provide that assistance to folks. Right now, a lot of our calls are going towards the MOST programs. That's behavioral health, behavioral and mental health. Oftentimes, dementia is conflated with behavioral health. It's not. There's significantly difference. And so this is what is able to be. This program is supposed to help with that. Also provide help get initially started with those MOCAs and those cognitive assessments, and then being able to connect families with the resources. Ultimately, this is looks to be part of the community. That's what one of the pieces that is listed on there is making sure that we're able to work with local governments and nonprofits. That's an important piece because it's ultimately we don't have those ADRCs here in the States. So as folks may know, we often rely a lot on our nonprofit partners throughout the state. And so this is looking to making sure we're continuing that partnership throughout. And being able to promote the different tools that are available. I accidentally included the same slide again. But before I finish up, the Alzheimer's Association, our vision is a world without Alzheimer's and all dementia. And that we do that through research, through community programs, through legislation, and that's what we're doing here. And just real quick, my contact information, and hand it over to the Assembly member.
Thank you, Mr. Shalinor. We're very, very glad that you're here, able to be here. I served with Mr. Shalinor on the Task Force for Alzheimer's Disease during the interim as well as the Commission on Aging, and I must say that there are many passionate people in our state working behind the scene to really support this, including, Dina Smith, who's the administrator for the Aging and Disability Services Division with our Department of Health and Human Services. She is here in the audience in case we need to phone a friend because her and my co-presenter here are the experts on this topic. So with that, Chair, we are ready for the question from you and the committee members.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. I appreciate your hard work on behalf of the committee from the interim, and so thank you for taking this on. We do have a number of questions from committee members. We'll start with Assembly Member Edgeworth.
Hi, thank you, Chair. Thank you so much for bringing this up. As somebody who cares for people who have dementia or memory loss for a lot of different reasons, I love that people are being very proactive. I have two very tiny questions. My one question, and which is possibly a little bit in the weeds, but you talk about screening. When in medicine, we often call screening asymptomatic people who are being screened, which the USPSTF has said that there's not a lot of evidence for. So are you talking about screening all old people, or are you talking about diagnosing people who have symptoms of memory loss?
Bench honor for the record, and thank you, Assemblywoman. One piece I did forget to mention on there is being able to provide training to providers. And so that initial assessment, yes, it's there's different assessments. The most common one, as I'm sure you're familiar with, is the MOCA, the Montreal Cognitive Assessment. Ultimately, we are our hope is training providers to be able to either themselves identify some of those initial signs or symptoms, or folks coming in as part of their annual wellness and saying, hey, I'm experiencing these symptoms, I'm experiencing these signs, or their caregivers saying, hey, can we do a cognitive assessment, then them being able to begin that assessment, and then if depending on what the results of those assessments are, then referring over to those neurologists. I hope that answers your question.
That does answer my question. Thank you. If I missed it, I apologize. But when you have a dementia care specialist, are you talking about like a nurse that's already licensed as a nurse getting additional training, like a certification? Or is this more of a layperson with less education getting this certification?
Bench honor for the record. I believe it's, and Cheyenne Pasquale is down in Vegas from ADSD, who may be able to answer this a bit better. But if I remember correctly, it's we are able to provide that training to preferably someone who's a social worker or a community health worker, as defined. I forget exactly how it is on NRS, but someone who has not necessarily the full medical training, but at least has some understanding, some sort of clinical background, whether it be social worker or a community health worker, if that makes sense. They may not necessarily be a nurse or someone who's already a provider, but if they, yes. I'm not sure if that answers your question or gets to the point, but again, I know Cheyenne is down south as well, and bench honor for the record. Cheyenne, can you come to the table, please? Thank you.
Cheyenne Pasquale for the record. The dementia care specialists are lay people. They're not meant to be nurses. It's more social service based. So we are looking for individuals that have experience in social services, preferably have a master's degree or equivalent experience, and experience working with individuals that have a diagnosis of dementia.
Thank you. That does answer my question.
Thank you. Next question we have from Assemblymember Nadeem.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for the presentation. This is such an important topic. So my question is, like, as of now, currently, the dementia patient, how they are getting the treatment and how many of them are getting the quality treatment, and where's the gap that this program is going to fill?
So, a bench honor for the record. Of the 55,000 that we have an estimate for, only about a half of them, as the Assembly member mentioned, have some sort of diagnosis. And so that leaves half of those 55,000 who don't have a diagnosis at all, not being able to receive any sort of treatment or any care that's specific for their dementia. Now, the ones that are actually diagnosed, there's different factors that go into it. Overall, we do have in Nevada, we're experiencing, as I'm sure the committee knows, a lack of providers who specialize or can specialize in gerontology, geriatric care, and so on. And so being able to get that diagnosis, we're often seeing some gap in time, anywhere between 6 months to a year before they're able to get that initial appointment. And so being able to provide that dementia care navigation piece will make sure that they're receiving the resources and the support that is available out there for them without receiving that until they're receiving that diagnosis.
Members, any other questions? No. Okay, I have one, and that should probably wrap us up, I'm sure. Under Section 2, you identify the University of Nevada, Las Vegas School of Medicine, the University of Nevada, Reno School of Medicine, to establish the Nevada Memory Network. Is it exclusionary to those two universities? Are other institutions within the Nevada system of higher education eligible? If you would just talk that through.
As bench honor for the record, as of right now, those are the ones that we've been able to work with and connect. And some background: this is now the second iteration of the state plan that includes the Nevada Memory Net. So that was from the previous biennium, and so that's since then there's been work that's been involved in there, and specifically UNLV and UNR, because they have UNR, the Sanford Center of Aging, UNLV, the Brain Health Center. Right now, as it's written, it's those specific ones because they have those schools of medicine. Ultimately, just like the Georgia Memory Net, if it's shown to be successful and they expand and we're able to expand out, then we could look at expanding out to some of the other institutions that we have in the state. I know we have some other NSHE institutions that may be able to help, as well as some non-NSHE institutions as well in the state. So ultimately, it's modeled to be able to grow at some point.
Thank you for that clarification. I would just wonder if it wouldn't behoove us to put permissive language in at this point so that it would be any other appropriate NSHE institution as the network continues to grow. I think perhaps we'll eliminate the need to come back and address this later, just as a comment.
Yu Wing, for the record, thank you, Chair. We're going to take that suggestion and we will work to get that language amended.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions, members? Okay, seeing none, I will ask you to step back from the table. At this time, we will open up testimony in support of Assembly Bill 337. If you are here in support of this measure, please come forward at this time, both in Carson City and in Las Vegas. You have 2 minutes. Please state your name for the record. You may begin when you're ready.
Hello. Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Sheila Bray with the University of Nevada, Reno. The University of Nevada is home to both the Sanford Center for Aging, housed within the School of Medicine that was previously mentioned, as well as the Dementia Engagement Education and Research, or the DEAR program, within our School of Public Health. Both of these entities focus on providing education, conducting research, and working with individuals, families, and caregivers to enhance quality of life and well-being amongst older adults. This bill closely aligns with our mission and efforts in this area, and we will look forward to working with the bill sponsors as it progresses. Thanks.
Okay. Good afternoon, Chair, members of the committee. My name is Noelle Masankai, NOELLEMASANGKAY, and I am Family Services Supervisor at ACDC, Asian Community Development Council, and I am here to ask for your support in AB 337. In the AA and HPI community, we rely mainly on our family members to be our primary caregivers. So that means our mothers, our fathers, our daughters, and our sons are trained to take care of our elderly family members, and that includes feeding them, bathing them, handling all their paperwork, and setting up medical appointments. This alone is quite difficult for a lot of our community members, even more so for those who have dementia, Alzheimer's, or other forms of memory loss. As someone who works closely with the AA and HPI community and other communities providing direct services, such as food assistance, citizenship assistance, and health insurance assistance, we have firsthand seen how our clients and their families try to navigate different parts of the public sector. And it can be quite difficult, especially if you're not specialized in these services and you don't know the proper terminology and you don't know how to handle these different things. And so this is not a burden that they should have to face alone. So by administering a dementia care specialist program, we can provide the necessary assistance our community members need to navigate their day-to-day lives and obtain the services that they may need. So as someone who has had a grandparent who has had dementia and had to watch her family work tirelessly to take care of them, I urge you to support AB 337. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, Chair May Brown May, and members of the committee. My name is Dina Schmidt. I serve as the Administrator for Aging and Disability Services, and in that role, I also serve as the Chair of the Commission on Aging. So I'm here on behalf of that commission to strongly express our support for AB 337. This bill advances Nevada's dementia care efforts by expanding training, education, and crisis intervention services, particularly in rural Nevada, where limited healthcare access often leads to increased hospitalizations. AB 337 establishes dementia care specialists to provide direct support education, and crisis response for individuals with dementia and their family caregivers. It also strengthens early diagnosis and care planning through the Nevada Memory Care Network, ensuring individuals receive the support they need to remain in their communities. This bill is a critical step in improving dementia care across Nevada, and I strongly urge you to support it.
For the record, my name is Vida Lin, President of the Asian Community Development Council. We support the bill AB 337. We know many of our AA and HPI are caregivers for our elder. The more education regarding dementia will be very important to help and assist family members. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Catherine Francisco, and I am the president of AAPI Chamber of Commerce. I am here today in support of AB 337. As a community member deeply concerned about the growing number of individuals affected by dementia, I wholeheartedly support the establishment of a dementia care specialist program and the Nevada Memory Network as outlined in this bill. By providing specialized care, support, and a network for diagnosis and treatment, this bill will help Nevada become a state that truly prioritizes the well-being of its residents living with dementia. So I urge you today to support the passage of AB 337. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. Reagan Combs is here today representing Cleveland Clinic, Nevada. We believe AB 337 represents a significant step forward in addressing the growing challenge of dementia care and support within our state. Nevada's aging population is growing rapidly, and the prevalence of dementia is expected to rise in the coming years. AB 337 reflects a thoughtful, evidence-based approach to meeting this challenge head-on. Cleveland Clinic, Nevada is a nationally recognized leader in neurological care, research, and education. Our Lou Ruvo Center for Brain Health in Las Vegas has been at the forefront of dementia research and patient care for over a decade. We see firsthand the devastating impact that dementia has on individuals, families, and our healthcare system. AB 337 provides a comprehensive framework that will enhance the state's capacity to diagnose, treat, and support those affected by dementia. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Brown May and members of the Health and Human Services Committee. For the record, my name is Jacob Ginsburg, Jacob-Ginsburg. I'm a second-year law student at the UNLV Boyd School of Law and an extern currently with the UNLV Office of Government and Community Engagement. And I'm testifying on behalf of UNLV in support of AB 337 because of the importance of addressing modern mental health concerns in Nevada. AB 337 strengthens Nevada's mental health care and support framework and helps foster important research and training through our Kurt Kerkorian School of Medicine. Early diagnosis and effective treatment are essential aspects of supportive mental health care, and this bill reinforces Nevada's commitment to caring for its citizens. We'd like to thank Assemblymember Nguyen for bringing forward this bill, as well as the Alzheimer's Association, and thank you for your support.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here in support of Assembly Bill 337? Not seeing anyone here in Carson City. Anyone in Las Vegas? Not seeing any movement there. Thank you for looking around, though, Mr. Duncan. I appreciate that. AVH, is there anyone on the telephone lines in support of AB 337?
If you would like to testify in support of Assembly Bill 337, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue.
Hello, Chair Brown May, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. My name is Jessica Padron, and I serve as the State Advocacy Director for AARP Nevada. On behalf of our AARP members and caregivers statewide, I'm honored to testify in strong support of AB 337, which we've been following since it's been in the interim committee. Dementia is a growing public health crisis affecting nearly 55,000 Nevadans living with Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia. This number is expected to rise significantly in the coming years, placing increased strain on families, caregivers, and our healthcare system. AB 337 is a critical step towards ensuring individuals living with dementia, their caregivers, and their families receive the comprehensive support and resources they need. AARP has long advocated for policies that support family caregivers, recognizing that they are the backbone of long-term care. In Nevada alone, there are over 340,000 family caregivers that provide more than $5.1 billion in unpaid care annually, assisting loved ones with daily activities, medication management, and complex healthcare decisions. AB 337 directly addresses the challenges they face by establishing a dementia care specialist program within Aging and Disability Services. This program will be essential because it will do the following: provide crisis intervention and proactive support. One thing we here at AARP have learned through our work across the country is that caregivers and families often navigate dementia care in isolation, facing unpredictable challenges and not aware of all the resources available. Dementia care specialists will offer much needed guidance, crisis intervention, and tailored resources. Second thing it'll do is enhance access to culturally competent care. I think this is essential in such a diverse state such as Nevada. And also it will expand training and workforce development. The demand for trained dementia care professionals is growing.
Thank you, Ms. Padron. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Gary Johnston, Las Vegas. Because our legislature's failure to provide or to properly manage our state, agenda-driven politicians are driving away our best doctors. The legislature caused doctors to leave. My mother's top geriatric specialist,
Mr. Johnson, are you in support of Assembly Bill 337?
Yes, of course. I am. I understand the process, ma'am. I don't need you to help me. Thank you. Do I have my 2 minutes back, or do I have to keep going?
I would like for you to begin by identifying if you are in support, opposition, or neutral on this bill, and then you're welcome to your 2 minutes.
Yes, I'm in support. That's why I chose this bracket. Because our legislature's failure to properly manage our state, agenda-driven politicians are driving away our best doctors. The legislature caused doctors to leave. My mother's top geriatric specialist, Dr. Ashley, left UNLV because of low pay and poor support. Now the Lou Ruvo Brain Centers are at risk, losing over $1 million a year because of the government lowered pay for doctors. This is unacceptable. We are failing seniors, our caregivers, and our families who rely on these critical services. We cannot keep adding clueless student doctors. The attention and expertise of doctors like Dr. Bernick at the Brain Center make the difference between manageable dementia diagnosis and a crisis for families. When a loved one is slipping away, the right to care is everything. We cannot allow politicians' poor choices to run off all these specialists. But that's not the only problem. Families in crisis have nowhere to turn when a dementia patient becomes unmanageable. We must give Sergeant Kovich and the Metropolitan Police Department and other law enforcement agencies in Nevada in their behavioral health units the authority to safely transport dementia patients to the hospital or mental health facilities when necessary. Without this, families are left helpless and forced to navigate broken systems that fail them at every turn. And when law enforcement is involved, we need trained professionals, not underqualified social workers. Dementia is not a social issue. This is a medical condition that requires expert intervention. Officers should be accompanied by psychologists or better trained personnel who understand how to handle dementia-related crises, and the basic social workers, but Nevada government has
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Healthcare.
Your 2 minutes are up at this point. You're welcome to submit your comments in writing. I appreciate you calling in.
Over?
Mr. Johnson, thank you very much for your comments. AVH, if you'll move to the next caller, please.
Good afternoon, Chair and committee members. For the record, Matilda Miller, that's MATHILDA-MILLER, Government Relations Director, Native Voters Alliance Nevada, and we are in unwavering support of Assembly Bill 337 because our elders should not be denied the care, dignity, and answers they deserve because of where they live. We're elated to see that this bill further utilizes telemedicine and provider training. Dementia doesn't just steal memories, they steal time to prepare, time to plan, time for families to adjust before their loved ones slip away. But right now in Nevada, too many people, especially in tribal nations and rural communities, are robbed at that time because they don't have access to diagnostic care that they need. We already see firsthand how limited healthcare infrastructure puts our people at risk. Too often our elders are dismissed or misdiagnosed because there aren't enough providers trained to recognize dementia, and the ones who are hours away. That distance is a barrier, that provider shortage is a barrier, and those barriers are costing Native families precious time and the ability to care for their loved ones. We urge your support. Thank you.
Chair, there are no other callers to testify in support at this time.
Thank you, AVH. At this time, we'll move into opposition. Is there anyone here in opposition of Assembly Bill 337? Please come forward. Seeing no movement in Carson City, anyone in opposition in Las Vegas? No one there. AVH, is there anyone on the telephone line in opposition of AB 337?
If you would like to testify in opposition to Assembly Bill 337, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers wishing to testify in opposition at this time.
Thank you, AVH. At this time, we'll move into neutral testimony. Is there anyone here who would like to offer testimony in neutral on Assembly Bill 337? No movement here in Carson City. Anyone in Las Vegas? No one coming forward there. AVH, is there anyone on the telephone line who would like to offer testimony in neutral on Assembly Bill 337?
If you would like to testify in neutral to Assembly Bill 337, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers wishing to testify in neutral at this time.
Thank you. At this time, we'll invite our bill sponsors back up for closing comments.
Ben Challoner for the record. Alzheimer's and dementia is a public health crisis that if we don't start addressing it now more seriously, it's going to get out of our hands, and we want to make sure that we get ahead of this. Alzheimer's Association is dedicated with working with our partners, our stakeholders, on making sure that we are able to move this along with the rest of our legislative slate that we have this session, and we extremely thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chair. Yui Wing for the record. Dementia is a growing health crisis that affects millions of people in the U.S., and Nevada is no different. Clearly, we have a moral and ethical obligation to support and care for older people with dementia, and study after study confirmed the economic costs and burdens dementia has on individuals in our communities in Nevada. Preventative care, like establishing a dementia care specialist program in addition to Nevada Memory Network through AB 337, would help offset these future costs. With that, I want to thank you for your attention and time to hear this bill. We urge that you support this bill. Thank you so much, Chair and committee members.
Thank you. With that, we will officially close the bill hearing on Assembly Bill 337. We'll take a brief recess while we do a little bit of musical chairs.
All right, we finished with the musical chair arrangement. I would like to now open the hearing on AB 338, and I would like to pass the floor over to our esteemed chair and the awesome guest that she brought to introduce the bill AB 338. Go ahead, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you. For the record, Tracy Brown May, Nevada Assembly District 42. Thank you, Vice Chair Nguyen, members of the committee. I'm very happy to have the opportunity to present this measure for your consideration. This measure does come to us out of the Interim Committee on Seniors, Veterans, and Adults with Special Needs, and I am simply helping to introduce this bill today. With me is Isabella Anderson. Isabella is working as my intern this session from the University of Nevada, Reno. She's currently studying political science and communication studies, has been doing stellar work, and was very excited to work on an interim bill and this presentation. She's going to handle most of our presentation today. And also with us is Connie McMullen. She's representing the Personal Care Association of Nevada and was the bill's proponent who introduced this issue during the interim to the Interim Committee on Seniors, Veterans, and Adults with Special Needs. With that, I'm happy to turn it over to Isabella to do the bill presentation.
Hello, and thank you, Vice Chair Nguyen and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Isabella Anderson, and I'm pleased to present Assembly Bill 338 for your consideration. As Chair Brown-May mentioned, during the 2023-24 interim session, the Legislative Committee on Senior Citizens, Veterans, and Adults with Special Needs heard a presentation that introduced the issues covered in this bill. During that presentation, it was stated that although the Nevada waiver for the frail elderly has been in place since 1992, it is lacking provisions for a variety of services that were temporarily instated during the COVID-19 pandemic. This waiver allows elderly people of 65 or older to retain a sense of independence by remaining in their homes while receiving care they would otherwise need to be in a nursing facility to have access to. This waiver currently supports the following services: case management, homemaker services, chore services, respite, personal emergency response system, adult daycare services, adult companion services, augmented personal care provided in residential facility for groups or assisted living settings, and home-delivered meals. Funding for nutrition was added to this list during the pandemic emergency assistance period, but it has since stopped. There's a strong desire and need in the community for this funding to continue. This bill proposes that more attendant care services for frail elderly persons be amended into the waiver. AB 338 also presents a solution for communication struggles between agencies providing personal care services and the people trying to access those services. Currently, it's very difficult for people looking to find the kind of care available to them to navigate the state's website. I will now turn this presentation over to Connie McMullen, who will provide more information, and then I'll summarize the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Vice Chair and committee members. For the record, I'm Connie McMullen. I represent the Personal Care Association of Nevada, and we do support Assembly Bill 338. We support it because it moves additional attendant care into the frail elderly waiver. Currently, as was said, there is no attendant care in the frail elderly waiver, but one needs to go to the Division for Healthcare Financing and Policy to access attendant care in the Medicaid state plan. ADSD home and community-based services waiver eligibility for people 65 plus is 300% of SSI. To qualify for the Medicaid state plan, seniors must be receiving Social Security income 74% of the federal poverty level. In many cases, this requires a senior to spend down more assets to qualify for the state plan service. In June 2024, last year, it was determined in a snapshot vision 2,680 ADSD consumers were using the frail elderly waiver, and of that number, 1,691 were receiving the Medicaid attendant care from their state plan. Statistics show that the need is there. PCAN additionally supports the development of the Internet tool available on the ADSD website listing personal care agencies licensed in the state. This would be a great advantage for the consumers seeking personal care services for their loved one and neighbors or friends, but do not know how to start or navigate the process. This process is very difficult. It's currently offered on the Nevada Division of Public and Behavioral Health, Healthcare Quality and Compliance website under findahealthfacility.nv.gov. The HCQC website prompts the user to find a licensed care agency in the state they reside, look for agencies and services desired, and how to contact them. However, the consumer needs to understand what they're looking for because of the list of services that are actually offered. There are providers other than personal care agencies listed that provide similar services, such as Intermediary Service Organization or ISO or the employment agency, but the consumer needs to understand the type of service listed and to be knowledgeable on actually how to utilize that service. Providers listed may also not accept Medicaid or only fee-for-service, and that too is not listed on the website, which makes things extremely difficult. Creating this website for caregivers and families looking for service in one location on the ADSD website would be incredibly helpful, would lessen complication, and enable better access to health care. And we would appreciate your support on this. We think it will help a lot of people. Thank you.
Isabella Anderson for the record. I'll now briefly summarize the bill. So there are 4 sections in this bill. It's necessary for the Department of Health and Human Services to apply to the Secretary of Health and Human Services for a waiver that provides federal financial participation. Section 1 of this bill requires such an application, which will propose an amendment to the Home and Community-Based FE waiver. This amendment will authorize the states to receive federal funds to partially cover the cost of attendant care services for frail elderly persons. These services include bathing, grooming, toileting, moving about, dressing, and eating. Section 3 establishes Section 1 as the responsibility of the divisions of the department to administer in the same manner as the other provisions governed by Medicaid. This bill will also establish an interagency website that allows agencies providing care services in the home to connect with people interested in obtaining those services. Section 2 of this bill requires the collaboration of the Aging and Disability Services Division of the Department of HHS and the Division of Public Health and Behavioral Health of the Department of HHS to establish this website. In their presentation on the Medicaid Access Rule, the Personal Care Association of Nevada stated that such an informational website would foster transparent communication and information between agencies, caregivers, care recipients, and various state entities. This website would simplify this vulnerable population's ability to understand and access the care available to them. Each agency on the proposed website would be required to include the following: the location and contact information of the agency, the locations where the agency provides services, the services and level of care provided by the agencies, any disciplinary action that's ever been imposed against the agency, and the types of insurance accepted by the agency. Section 4 of this bill simply covers when each section of the bill will become effective if this is passed and approved. That's everything. So thank you for the opportunity to present this bill today. We're happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. And I just want to say great job, Ms. Anderson, on your presentation. That is a good way to start. So thank you for taking the lead. We're going to go to questions now with members. Does anybody have any question? Wow, you did so great. No one else have questions. So that usually happens when I'm on the spot. So, Chair, you chose the right one to give it to me. So we're going to ask you to take a step back, and we're going to go into support testimony for AB 338. And just a reminder for those testifying in support, just following our chair, we want to make sure that you state your name for the record and start with a line I support first before you going into your testimony. You have 2 minutes for that, and hopefully everyone can understand how all of this works. So go ahead, Mr. Challoner, when you're ready.
Ben Challoner for the record, Director of Public Policy for the Alzheimer's Association, here in support. Last session we were able to get AB 208 passed, which created a new waiver specifically for those living with dementia. We want to make sure that everyone else is able to receive the same type of waiver here with this AB 338. It mirrors similar of what we were able to pass back into with 208, so we're here in support of this one as well.
Good afternoon, Vice Chair, chaired members of the committee. My name is Amy Hines Sutherland, HYNE-SUTHERLAND, and I'm the Health and Human Services Manager for the Nevada Association of Counties, or NACO, which represents all 17 counties. Our members support AB 338. Counties across Nevada are on the front lines of providing essential services to our aging populations, and this bill represents a meaningful step toward ensuring seniors can continue to access the care they need. Amending the Medicaid home and community-based services waiver to include attendant care services will enable frail older adults to receive care in their homes, reducing reliance on emergency services and long-term care facilities. This measure enhances the quality of life for seniors while also reducing individuals' reliance on county-provided social safety net. By keeping seniors safe and supported at home, AB 338 helps counties focus resources where they are needed most while promoting dignity and independence of Nevada's aging population. We urge your support for this critical legislation. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else in Las Vegas would like to come up to testify in support of AB 338? All right. We'll now go to Las Vegas. Does anyone in Las Vegas would like to testify in support for AB 338? Seeing no one running to the chairs, we'll go ahead and go to AVH for testimony in support of AB 338.
If you would like to testify in support of Assembly Bill 338, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue.
Hello, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. My name is Jessica Padron, testifying in strong support on behalf of AARP Nevada for AB 338 because it helps seniors remain in their homes by expanding access to crucial in-home care services. Many older Nevadans struggle to find and afford personal care assistance, such as help with bathing, dressing, and meal preparation. This bill ensures that Medicaid will help cover attendant care services for frail seniors, making it easier for them to get the support they need. Additionally, AB 338 creates an online resource to connect seniors with licensed personal care providers in their area. This will simplify the process for families searching for trustworthy caregivers, giving them clear information about available services. For many seniors, staying at home is not just a preference, it's essential for their well-being and quality of life. AB 338 removes barriers to care, helps prevent unnecessary nursing home placements, and gives Nevada seniors the dignity and independence they deserve. We urge the committee to pass this bill and improve the lives of older adults across our state. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, Vice Chair and committee members. For the record, my name is Matilda Miller. That's Mathilda Miller, Government Relations Director, Native Voters Alliance Nevada, in support of Assembly Bill 338. I know we can all agree on one thing. We want to take care of our elders and our loved ones. We want them to stay where they feel safest, surrounded by the love and care of family. But right now, families are left digging through outdated websites, drowning in red tape, and struggling to piece together resources just to figure out how to get the care their loved ones need. And it shouldn't be this hard. And I know this because I lived it and I'm living through it right now. I've had to sift through confusing, outdated information and make endless calls and hit a bunch of dead ends, all while trying to make the best decisions for my dad. When you're trying to get personal care services in the home for someone you love, every day delay feels like a failure, every unanswered question feels like a roadblock, and every bit of uncertainty adds more stress to an already overwhelming situation. This bill changes that and ensures that families like mine and so many others
AVH, did we lose the caller? Did we even? I think we may need to take a brief recess while our technology is getting restarted. All right, welcome back. We are going to continue with any other support testimony here in Carson. We do not have Las Vegas or AVH, so we're going to accept testimony in writing by email, and you can submit it. You can submit that online up to 24 hours after the meeting. So with that, we're going to switch over to opposition testimony. Does anyone here in Carson City would like to testify in opposition of AB 338? Seeing and hearing none, we'll go ahead and move over to neutral testimony. Does anyone here in Carson City wishes to testify in neutral? All right, seeing no one, we'll go ahead and invite the presenter. Oh, no closing remarks. All right, that is going to be the end, and we are now closing the hearing for AB 338. We will invite our chair back to the dais.
Thank you, members. At this point, we are on our last agenda item for the day. We'll move into public comment. As a reminder, if you're here for public comment, you have 2 minutes. Please state and spell your name for the record. Do we have AVH on the phone? We don't have telephone lines currently. Okay, so we only have in-person public comment here today. Seeing no one moving. Again, I will remind everyone that we do have public comment available. You are welcome to submit comments online. Okay, members, we will see you at our next meeting on Wednesday of this week. We do still have 3 bill hearings on Wednesday, and that is our last order of business. This meeting is adjourned.